Dear listener, this is Sincerely Sav, a love letter to growth, to pain that became purpose, and to the girl I'm still becoming. Every episode is a reflection, or no, a heartbeat of my journey. If you've ever felt like you're becoming someone new, you're in the right place. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode. My name is Sav. I am your host for Sincerely Sav. If you're not already following me, you can find me on all social medias at $AV. So before we get into the episode, I just want to touch on being faceless kind of has its perks. So instead of me sitting in front of a camera, I've noticed I've been able to move around like to different places in my house and sit down and record a podcast episode. Now, I'm pretty sure I could do the same thing if I was recording myself, but I don't know. Right now, I'm enjoying the perks of being faceless. Like, I don't have to do my hair. I don't got to get camera ready. I can sit in my bathroom and record. Today, I am sitting at my daughter's Bluey table in my living room while she is in her room playing on her tablet. So currently, I am getting ready for this podcast episode by making a cup of coffee. And I encourage you guys to do the same. You might hear me right now opening up my fridge and hearing the creamer pour into a cup because I am getting comfortable making myself a cup of coffee. So go ahead and get your own cup, or if that's not your cup of tea, get you a cup of tea, Dr. Pepper, I don't know, whatever it is that you drink, and get cozy with me as we get into this episode of Sincerely Sav. We'll be talking about the art of letting go. Now that we're cozy, what is letting go? What does that look like to you? To me, letting go looks like I don't want to say not caring, but it's just releasing any outcome or not any outcome, but any expectations of an outcome. I don't feel like letting go is quitting or failure or giving up. I feel like it's just letting go and letting whatever is be. Looking back at my life, there's been so many occasions where I've had to let go of things when I wasn't ready to let go of things. There's also been occasions where I was holding on to things that no longer served me longer than I should have been holding on. I remember when I was 18 years old, I was with my daughter's dad and he was abusing me, and I stayed in that cycle way too long. But it's a perfect example for this episode because I remember when I let go. Literally, y'all, I remember I was in the apartment. I was packing up all my things, and honestly, he had no idea. When I left, he had no idea I was leaving. I just made a promise to myself, like, this is going to be the last time that this happens. So I had my younger cousin come with me to the apartment that we lived in at that time. And I was like, hey, put as much as you can into these boxes as fast as you can and help me move this shit up out of here. And that's exactly what happened. And I remember getting in the truck, like, going back home. It was just like a weight lifted off my shoulders, like, I can finally breathe. And so much more BS came after that, but that was my first step in choosing myself and letting go of that abusive cycle. Letting go is releasing control. It's saying, here, God, here is my problem, and I let go of any attachment to whatever the outcome may be because I trust you enough that you are working for my greater good. So whatever happens, happens. I also feel like letting go is also releasing an older version of yourself that's no longer serving you. For example, in what I had just said, I let go of a version of myself that allowed myself to be abused. And I remember working at my last job. My lead had told me, my boss told her that Savannah is really assertive. And I just remember thinking, like, thank you. Like, I took that as a compliment because there was once a time and a version of myself that was not assertive, that allowed people to treat me any kind of way. And I would just turn my cheek and just take it. When it comes to your healing journey and tolerating disrespect, like, you don't need to turn the other cheek. I'm not saying be vengeful, or resort to violence. By no means am I saying that, but I am saying to stand your ground, because when you're being disrespected or being abused, a line has been crossed at that point. And typically that line is crossed when we are holding on to something for too long. So that brings me into the next topic of conversation. Why? Why do we hold on to things for so long? Like, girl, you know that man is no good for you. Why are you still in the relationship? You know that job is not your God-given purpose. Why is you still there? You complaining every day about going to work and you hate your job, but you are still punching the clock for what? A lot of the time, it's fear of the unknown. People don't know what's behind the closed door. So take it back to my situation that I was in, for example. A lot of people who are in domestic relationships are scared to leave. Statistics say that actually it takes a victim 7 times before they actually leave the relationship, because they continue to go back and to go back. A lot of girls don't get out of those relationships. Men too, because men can be abused. So if you're somebody who's listening to this podcast and that has been your story, I'm so sorry that we relate. But you do understand where I'm coming from when it talks about the fear of the unknown, not knowing what's on the other side. And if that's not your story, let's run back the job scenario, because I have also lost my apartment, lost my car, lost pretty much everything. Had to start over from scratch because I felt like God was calling me for something greater. So I had to walk away and leave everything behind. I wasn't ready to leave, but what if I would have stayed? Definitely not be where I'm at today. See, people get so caught up in the comfort of what's familiar that they don't understand that the growth comes from the uncomfortable. Just like when I quit my job. I was very comfortable quitting my job. I was uncomfortable when I couldn't pay my rent, when I couldn't pay my car note, when I saw my car get repossessed, and when I got evicted and had to go to eviction court. All of that was super uncomfortable. However, that forced me to get out of my comfort zone to face the unfamiliar. It also forced me to put my faith in God, to know that whatever happens, no matter what the outcome is, that I was going to be okay. Another reason that we can hold on to things longer than the expiration date is when we have hope. Now, hope is not always a bad thing, but when it comes to letting go, it's not a great thing. Because we'll have hope that things are going to change and that they're going to get better, when oftentimes that may not be the case. I personally have had to escape La La Land with a relationship in my life to know that, okay, this person is not taking care of themselves and I can't expect our relationship to change if they're not going to change. So I had to let go. But we're not going to get into that this episode, even though her boyfriend did recently try to come for me on Facebook and put all my business out there. So it may be addressed on an episode here in the near future. I don't know. I haven't made my mind up yet. But let's talk about signs. The glorious signs and wonders of when it's time to let go. You know, the red flags you've been ignoring? Yeah, those. Let's address them. Sign number 1 is when it's draining you. If it has taken the life up out of you, baby, it's time to go. And I don't mean days where it's overwhelming and you're coming home drained, like from work, for example. Shoot, these kids be draining me, y'all. I be having my days, but I'm not gonna just stop being a mom. No, I'm talking about every single day. Like, if you encounter this person, you're drained. You're coming home drained. You're having an argument, you're drained. Like, there's just no way of getting around the drainedness, if that makes sense. I know you know what I'm talking about. Another sign is when you are constantly over-explaining yourself or having to justify yourself. Like, at the end of the day, it's not worth having to prove anything to anybody. Or if you find yourself having to make yourself small to be able to connect, well, you didn't belong there in the first place. Let me just say that. But if you had to make yourself small in order to fit in or to connect with anybody else around you, then you don't outgrow that environment and it's time to make an exit. If the environment has grown chaotic, then another sign to take an exit. Or if you find yourself missing an old version of yourself. And by missing, I'm not talking about reminiscing, because a lot of times I find myself reminiscing of a period of my life that I just really enjoyed. No, I'm talking about missing, like, I missed the girl I used to be because I was doing X, Y, and Z. And this environment is holding me back from being able to do X, Y, and Z. You need to get up out of that environment, because your environment should be pushing you towards growth, not from it. Now, if you are somebody who struggles with letting go, let's chat. I want to talk to you guys about how to let go. So step number 1, acknowledge it by its name. Acknowledge whatever is holding you back by its name. If it's a person, so-and-so is holding me back. If it's a job, the name of your job position is holding me back. If it is a habit, say its name. This habit is holding me back, so on and so forth. I'm pretty sure you get the gist. It's really important to acknowledge it by name and say it out loud. Say it out loud, because once you say it out loud, whether it's you confiding to a friend, you confiding in God, say it out loud. It's the first step of letting go. Then we're going to move on to step 2. What is it costing you? You said it by its name. Now you need to say, what is it costing you? Because everything comes with a price. It's costing me time. It's costing me money. It's costing me my peace. And I don't know about y'all, but my peace is just something I cannot afford to let go of. Once you do that, we can move forward into step 3. Release the fantasy. So this kind of takes us back into when we were discussing and why we hold on to things for so long, because we hold on to this hope that things will change. This is the time where we let go of that fantasy that we've been creating in our heads of what it looks like when things change. This is where we face reality and accept that things are not changing. And if it gives you a sense of hope, sometimes when we do let go, that is when the change occurs. I can speak from testimony of my relationship. Christopher and I broke up for a month because we were just not seeing eye to eye. We were getting super toxic, but I walked away, and then in that break and that time we spent apart, we both worked on ourselves. We came back together and realized we did not want to be without each other. So until if that gives you any hope, I'm gonna plant that seed right there. Sad. And move forward into step number 4. Replace control with faith. This is where you let go of the expectation for any outcome and say, God, you got it. You got it. Whatever plans you have for my life, they're in motion at this point. It's in your hands. And finally, step 5, you create a boundary that protects your peace. Because like I said, baby girl, I cannot afford to lose my peace. So with peace comes boundaries. It's saying that, hey, I won't tolerate this. I won't tolerate that. You cannot cross this line. And if you do cross this line, this is what happens. So those are my 5 steps into letting go. What happens after that? You're going to see space open up. You're going to see clarity return. You're going to be able to reconnect with yourself. Just like when I said earlier, I left that relationship, I was able to breathe. And I was able to start doing the things that I love to do again without somebody in my ear telling me not to. Like, for example, this is so off topic, y'all, but when I was with that man, I had a nose piercing. I've had my nose pierced since I was 14. Like, I am now about to be 25. Like, I've had my nose pierced several times at this point. But in that particular relationship, I had my nose pierced. And this man told me, take my nose piercing out because all hoes have nose piercings. But the kicker is, y'all, why did I do it? Why did I do it? And so after I left that relationship, your girl went and got her nose re-pierced. Because when you become at peace with letting go, that peace is going to become louder than all the noise and all the fear. You're going to see things start to align with you because you're going to be walking in your purpose. Because like I said earlier, if you're playing it small, God did not create us to be small. He created us to take up space. That is exactly why moving into this year, we're letting go of relationships that don't serve us, whether it's a friend or a family member. We're letting go of jobs that don't serve us. Now, I'm not saying go quit your job, but I am saying to be actively working towards being able to quit your job. Learning about a trait or a skill that can replace that income, or moving in the direction of pursuing your passion, like your girl. I am officially going back to school for digital cinematography.
Because I've known since I was a kid, I was always going to get a fine arts degree. Like, I always wanted to go to college, but I always wanted to go to school to do something in the creative field, because I'm a very creative person. I'm a visionary. Like, I see things in my head. So for me, going into the medical field was more based off of like survival than pursuing my passions. And so letting go of that in 2026, we're releasing old goals, old desires that just no longer fit with this version of who we're becoming. We're letting go of versions of our past self that people try to hold us to. Like, baby, I've done grown. You don't know who I am now. And with that, we're also releasing any shame, guilt, and resentment that might carry. So in closing, I want to remind you guys that letting go is healthy. It's an act of self-love. It's an act of trust, and ultimately one step closer to becoming who you were meant to be. But one thing before we go, I want to interact with you guys. In the comments, I want you guys to comment below, what is one thing that you will be releasing this year? Or what is that one thing that you need to let go of to take you to where you're supposed to be and becoming who you're meant to be? Until the next time, sincerely, Sav.